It is that time of year again, guys. Kids are back to school, whether that means leaving the house to go to school or doing school at home in some way, homeschooling, distance learning, virtual learning, online school. No matter how school is happening, it's bound to leave you overwhelmed in some way. All the supplies, the homework, the activities, the projects, the artwork, just the chaos of it all. Well, today I am sharing some lazy mom hacks with you that you can easily implement to make your back to school blues turn into back to school bliss. Glue. It's messy, it's sticky, it gets everywhere, but it's also really useful. Just like the glue that we need to put together the pieces of our life as busy working moms. We have after school activities, we have homework, we have cleaning, we have laundry. And, we want to spend time with our kids as well in the process and maybe even have some time for ourselves. This podcast is for the busy moms out there who are balancing work, life, and everything in between. And we all know that in between encompasses a lot of things. If you're a mom who wants to do the best in all areas of life, but still have time for yourself, this podcast is for you. I love to interview other moms and find out what works for them, get ideas from them, get inspired by them, and learn, we're all in this together. But I also like to share my own tips, tricks, struggles, triumphs, and share it all with you. So grab a load of laundry, lock yourself in the bathroom, go for a walk, do whatever you got to do, but I am just so glad you're here. It has been so long since I've turned on my microphone and sat down and created a podcast episode for you guys. I hope you didn't think I was gone forever. I actually took the summer off for many reasons. One of which being a subscription box I am starting that I will talk about later in this episode. And I have a whole video announcing that I will leave in the show notes. But that has taken up a ton of my time, as well as some major health issues. I had mastitis back in June. Right after that, we got COVID. Fun times. And then I ended up getting a blood clot in my lungs. So I had lots of time in the ER and the hospital and things like that. I am doing really, really well now. But I am very grateful that I already had time off blocked so that I wasn't feeling like this pressure to also be creating content amongst all this craziness. So I am back. I am ready. I am so excited for everything coming out in the next month. And I am so excited to get my subscription box going. And I will share a lot more about that later on in this episode and sprinkle it in so you guys are always in the know of what's going on with that. But today, I am starting off this season 2, I guess you could call it, of the Work Life Glue podcast, talking about lazy mom hacks when it comes to back to school time. Now, I know it's not August, so a lot of you, most kids are already back to school in whatever way. So these are all hacks, tips, ideas that you can implement now that you didn't have to do at the start of the year. No big deal. A lot of us are super overwhelmed just getting all the school clothes, all the supplies, figuring out the routines, signing up for different things. So these are all great to start implementing now, still at the start of the school year, so that, you're a well-oiled machine going into October and you're not feeling super overwhelmed anymore. So let's just jump right in. My first hack that I'm sure some of you have done, but if you haven't, this is just a really easy thing to do. It should only take 10 minutes probably to create this if you don't get too fancy. And that is to create some kind of homework zone. This will look different depending on your home layout, how old your children are, but make it work for you. Now, you don't have to get fancy. You don't have to have like a whole room in your house devoted to homework. Most of us don't have the space for that, but you can set this up, like have a little desk in your living room or dining room that kids can do homework at. You can have it set up in each of their individual rooms, or you might just have a little caddy or a little cart or a cupboard that you dedicate to these items that is near wherever they're going to do their homework. And this is just you going around your house and accumulating all of the things that they will need for their homework. So that's going to be different depending on their ages, but most kids will need things like a pencil sharpener, pencils, erasers. If you have younger kids or even the older kids, if they're doing projects, they will probably need some kind of art supplies. Any reference sheets for letters, numbers, shapes, or even like states or countries, depending on their age, anything they are learning about that they may need to reference, I would just keep right there. Flashcards they may use, tape, glue, scissors, Anything that teachers have sent home to use for homework, maybe they have different things that they will need to use for a certain homework activity they're going to do throughout the year. Just keep that right with all the homework stuff. So when they get home and it's homework time, they can either go to the table and pull out that little caddy, go into the cupboard, go to their room, and it's all right there. And then you don't have to spend all this time struggling to get them to start their homework. I know some kids really, really struggle with this. And so if you have everything ready, that's one less thing you have to worry about so that you're not prolonging this whole transition to homework time. It's all ready for them wherever they're doing their homework. And then you don't have to worry about stuff all over your house, at least not as much stuff all over your house, because all of that stuff they will need will be right there. So they don't have to go to the kitchen junk drawer to get a few things and then go to the office to get a few other things. It is all right there. Just saves time. It's very efficient and just makes you have less of a headache when it comes to homework time. Hack number 2 is to pick out those outfits on Sundays. If you have multiple children, or if you have kids who are very picky about what they wear, or if you have kids who take time to pick out their outfits every morning, this can really save you so much time. It can save you power struggles. It can save you headaches. It is just a wonderful thing to do. I have done this on and off as a mom the last few years. Sometimes we're in a phase where we don't have to do this, or where, my kids aren't very picky and they just get their clothes on really easily. But there are other times where we've really had to implement this because it was getting out of control. There were power struggles about clothes. It was taking too long. So this has really helped us. So you don't have to get anything fancy, but I do have these wonderful days of the week organizers I will link in the show notes. They come in different colors. So depending on what your kid likes, it can match their color preferences. But basically there is a little cubby. It's like a little hanging thing, those hanging organizers you put in your closet on the hanging rod. And then there's little cubbies for each day of the week. There's even some pockets on the sides for underwear, socks, dance outfits, sports outfits, whatever. They can put those hair accessories or whatever, watches, all in those little side pockets. So what I have liked to do is on Sundays, I would pick out the clothes. But if you have obviously school-age children, you would take them into their room or have them even just go do this if they can be independent about it. And they will pick out an outfit, even down to the socks, the underwear, the hair accessories, whatever. Pick it all out, get it laid out, and then put it in each day of the week. Now, they don't necessarily have to wear it, that outfit on Monday. If they want to just kind of pick and choose their outfit among those choices, they can. But this just saves so much time in the morning because that decision is already made for them. They don't have to be going into their drawers, making a mess of their room that they just cleaned the night before or whatever. And it's just one less thing to have to do in the morning. They just pick it out, put it on, good to go. If you don't have room for a hanging organizer, there are ones you can put on your door. You can hang it on the end of your bed. You can use a drawer and just put little cubbies or even just lay them out. No big deal. You don't have to have dividers for it. Or even they could just hang it up on a clothes hanger and then hang it up in their closet, and maybe you just make little rings or you buy some on Etsy and print them out with the days of the week, or you don't even have to get that fancy. They'll just know one hanger is one outfit. And so this will really save you a lot of time if you're having power struggles. If your kids have uniforms, you can just have those laid out, for each day of the week. So you're only prepping, ironing or whatever, the amount of clothes that they need for the week. And then you're set. You don't have to worry on Thursday, shoot, we don't have the skirt we need for the outfit. So it just really saves so much time and headaches for moms. Hack number 3 is what our family uses for all of the extracurricular activities. Now, we are still in the young ages. Our oldest is 6, but we still, I feel even though we try to live a pretty simple life, not overly involved, we still have different activities that require different things. So I have found it just really helps my brain and helps my children if every activity has a different bag. Now that may sound like a lot, you've got all these bags, but hear me out. It really, really, really has helped us. So for example, in our family right now, we have dance, we have Awana, we have Girl Scouts, we have our homeschool co-op, and then we also have church where they have Sunday school and then their busy bag that they take to church so that they have something to do and not distract everybody. So for each of those different things, we have a different bag. Now, some people may think, just have one bag and then you put the different things in. That's way more economical and whatnot. But I don't know about you, but we have a bazillion reusable bags in our house. So I don't have fancy bags for each of these things. If you want to get fancy, get fancy. But if you want to be simple, be simple. It's a lot easier. So for dance, we have a dance bag, and I use that for both of my girls. They have all their dance stuff in there. Their shoes, I don't even know. Anything that they need for dance that week or in general is in that bag. For Awana, that's a thing at church. So they have a little vest, they have a little workbook, and anything else they need for that. For Girl Scouts, we have their vest. We have any materials they need for Girl Scouts, a little folder, badges. And then our homeschool co-op has different things, so on and so forth. So every single sport or activity has a different bag. My bonus tip for this hack is to also keep any bag that you can, that you don't need to be going into and refilling all the time, keep it in your car. So you don't need to even bring it back into your house. For dance, my girls get ready at home, so we don't have to keep any items that they would have to wash regularly in their bag. It's pretty much just shoes for the most part. So that bag can stay in the car. There's no reason to really bring it in the house. And I can't tell you how many times I've pulled up to dance and I forgot the bag because I wasn't keeping it in the car. I know just having kids, and especially if you're working on top of it and all of the things, there's just so much to remember. So if you can have one less thing to remember and you multiply that by 6 different sports among your 4 kids or whatever it is, that is a lot of brain power you're saving and a lot of trips to that activity that you don't have to go back home or have your kids suffer because we all forgot whatever it was. So anything you can keep in your van, do so, and then have a different bag for each thing. It just helps so much and saves so much sanity. Trust me, this is one of my favorite ones. Hack number 4 is all about saving time in the morning while still providing nutritious, healthy meals. We don't always want to run to cereal. We know it's not the healthiest choice. If you do cereal, no big deal. But if you want to be providing homemade meals for your kids, but you do not have time in the mornings, this is what we've been doing for the last year, and it is genius in my opinion. Every weekend, so either on Saturday or Sunday, I will make a different delicious homemade breakfast, be it egg muffins, granola bars, egg sandwiches, oatmeal, smoothies, pancakes, waffles, you name it, it will probably work with this hack. So on that day, on the weekend, when I make this breakfast for my family, I take the recipe and I quadruple it. So if I'm making pancakes, I quadruple what I need for my family. So I have 3 more meals worth of extra food. And then what I do with that is I freeze it. So basically, I now have 3 more weeks of that food that my family can eat it one day a week. Now, if you do that every weekend, you now have 4 different meals in your freezer. So let's say at one week I did pancakes, the next week I did egg sandwiches, the next week I did muffins, and then the next week I did granola bars. Because I'm doing this on a recurring basis, I always have 4 different things in my freezer for the different days of the week. So Monday through Friday, you now have 4 different homemade meals that you just take one out of the freezer, pop it in the microwave, pop it in the toaster, heat it up, whatever, that your kids can eat that is homemade, nutritious, that you don't have to feel guilty about, but you didn't have to spend any time in the morning making. And you're just spending a little extra time. It really doesn't take a whole lot more to make things in bulk on the weekends. It's just a few more extra minutes on the weekends. Gives you so much more food and healthy options in the mornings. So then by the time, let's say you made pancakes week 1, now you eat it 3 more weeks, one day of those weeks. Then on the next cycle, week 4 or 5, you're making pancakes again. So it's a great rhythm. It's really easy to implement. You're just doing a little bit more on the weekends, and then you're freezing the rest. This has saved us so much time. And then the 5th day, you can just have cereal. They can, you can just whip up something that day. No big deal, but it just saves you so much time on the weekdays. Raise your hand if being a mom overwhelms you. Raise your hand if you feel like you have no time to improve your life, or the little time that you do have, you are so exhausted that you have no motivation to do anything to improve your life. Do you have 2 hands raised right now? Don't worry, guys, you aren't alone. And more importantly, I have a solution for you. I have created a subscription box with a built-in community just for you. Every single month, we will tackle a new area of our lives as busy moms that we will focus on. You will receive at your doorstep every single month a beautiful box filled with products that will help you improve that part of your life together with other women all over. Plus, you will always receive an item that will pamper you in some way, because we all know moms deserve more pampering in their life. And you will also receive an item that will help you bond with your family. Maybe it's an activity, maybe it's a game, maybe it's just a project you'll do together. That's super easy to implement, super fun, because we know I'm all about creating those bonding moments. So along with the box is a community where we will have challenges, check-ins, live training with an expert in that topic, and lots of fun posts to keep you motivated. The box is launching this January, but the pre-sale will be coming very soon, and I will be dropping lots of hints. So make sure you sign up for the Work Life Glue newsletter that's brand new, so that you will be ready and know a lot about it and be ready to make a decision when it is available. But also, if you sign up for the newsletter, you will be entered to win 3 free months of the Work Life Glue box. So definitely sign up. There's no risk in just signing up for the newsletter. I cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on the new Work Life Glue box. Stay tuned for more details. Hack number 6. We all know morning times and evening times before bed are probably some of the most stressful parts of the day. Some kids are up and ready at 4 a.m. Others have a lot of trouble getting themselves ready in the morning, and it's a big struggle. So what I have really loved doing, we all know I am a chart lover because they really do work. At least my kids, I've had a lot of success with. A lot of you guys have shared that you've had success with the different charts I've talked about. And so I love having a morning chart and an evening chart. And what I do is I have these charts. I just found some on Etsy, and I printed out the charts. I laminated them, and then I printed out all the different tasks, and I laminated them, and then I put Velcro on the task and then Velcro on the chart so they can move their tasks from to do to done. So it's very visual. It's very easy for young children to see. And once everything has moved from the to do to the done column, then they can move on with their day. So that's how I do it. It's not like you have a consequence necessarily, like a punishment if they don't do it, but I tie it to something. So let me explain. So for my kids, ages 6, 4, or just about to turn 4, and then my 1-year-old does not do this because obviously she's 1. She doesn't understand. But for my 4 and 6-year-olds, they need to put laundry away in the morning. I usually have it sitting like outside their door. They have to get dressed, they have to brush their teeth, get their hair done, make their bed, and tidy their room. Sometimes they play in the morning before it's time to come out, and that's fine. And so they have to tidy their room. Before they can have breakfast, all of those tasks need to be done. So even though we're homeschooling, like we have a very rigid routine that we need to start at a certain time. We've got different things we have to do. And so this has really helped. If your children go to school, I'm pretty sure they want to have breakfast before they go if they normally have breakfast. So by having that, I guess you could say it's a consequence. It's a natural consequence. Like you don't do these things, then you're not going to have breakfast. And if you don't do them by the time it's time to go to the bus or the carpool line, then I guess you're not having breakfast. And obviously, like we want our kids to have breakfast, but it only takes like one time for them to learn to do these things. So that is our system. With evening tasks, it's basically the same thing. They have to brush their teeth, wash their face, or take a bath, put their jammies on, have their room tidied, that kind of thing, go to the bathroom. And obviously, like my kids are still young, so I help with a lot of this, but certain things like cleaning up their room and making their bed and stuff like that, I want them to be independent in. And so this has really helped with that. So once all of those things are moved over to the done column, then we can have story time. And now these have a time limit. So if they are not done by a certain time at night, then they're not having stories. And so that's kind of like a natural consequence of not doing these things when they are supposed to. If they're fighting it, if they're lollygagging, whatever, power struggles, then they end up not getting stories that night, which they really love stories. So it's a good motivator. So I love these charts. I think they're really easy to use, especially where you just move it. Kids love to move it. So it's very motivating, and it's teaching them all the things they need to do in the morning and at night. When it comes to getting out the door, I know how stressful that can be with multiple kids. It's just chaos usually. So I like to have a out the door list. Basically, I just have a dry erase board I got for a couple bucks, I think at Target. It's small, and I have it right next to our door that we enter the home and leave the home from. And I love the dry erase because you can always change it, but you could also print out a list or have pictures for your kids of everything that they may need before they leave. I like the dry erase because, if something comes up, like they have a school project and they have to remember that project, I can write it down really easily, or I can erase things, as things change. Or on sports days, I could put that sport bag down or whatever for them to remember, and I can adapt it. But you can definitely have a picture system and then even laminate it so you could still write on there if you need to. So this is great for writing down things like sports bags, water bottle, your lunch, your coat, maybe an umbrella, certain folders they may need every day. If they've got any projects, show and tell, where they need to take something kind of out of the norm to school, you can write it down on there. Masks, if they have to remember a mask, instrument, what have you. Just having that list there and making sure like you run through that with your kids right before you leave. Like, who has their sports bag? I do. Who has their water bottle? Oh, shoot, I forgot my water bottle. Run up and get it. Who's got their lunch? Done. So it just helps you. It's very simple, but it's just building that into your day and having that list there can really save you a lot of crazy running around, running back to the house, freaking out, kids upset with you, you upset with your kids moments. Next up, let's talk about the dreaded artwork and keepsakes that just seem to multiply from their time at school to their time at home. Like, I don't know what happens in those backpacks, but I swear they're breeding in there. I'm telling you. I love my kids' artwork, but they are little artistes in my house. They're making, 20 art projects a day, it feels like. If they're not coloring, they are crafting. If they're not crafting, they're doing some kind of like beadwork or whatever. And it just is overwhelming. So this is my very simple system for all of this. I have an artwork bin. It's just a bin. It sits inside one of our kitchen cabinets. It only can fill so high before it hits the shelf above it. So I don't have like a every 3 months or anything. It's very easy because once it's full, I can't shove anything else in. I need to deal with it. I'm not going to start putting it somewhere else. So when that happens, it takes a couple months usually, I will take the bin out when my kids are asleep or away, because Lord knows the project they haven't even thought about in 4 months is now their favorite possession once they see it and you're about to get rid of it. So take your artwork bin out once it's full and you go through everything and you're ruthless. If you don't even remember it, toss it. If it seems like it took 2 seconds, toss it. If it's really that big of a deal, take a picture before you toss it. But I have a system for that in a second. So you go through everything. You really, really pare it down, knowing that whatever's left, you're probably going to keep forever. So you don't want very much in there. So I let it, I take a bunch out, recycle it, get it out of the house so my kids aren't seeing it, so I'm not second guessing it. And then now we're back to a tiny percentage of that bin is full. And then I put it back in my cupboard and I let it accumulate again. So I'm not even dealing with it really. I'm just getting rid of the excess. And I do that the entire school year. I'm just letting it fill up, paring it down, letting it fill up, paring it down. And then by the end, you have a lot more stuff. But hopefully, depending on how tall your cupboard shelves are, you don't have like the full max that you're keeping by the time the school year is done. So at the end of the year, when I am ready and I've got the brain power, I will take that bin out and I will go through it all again, sort it out. This kid's artwork, that kid's artwork. and I will see how much I have. If I still have a lot, there are a few different things you can do. So what I do, I have a bin for each child that has file folders in it. And so each year is a different file folder. So obviously I can't be fitting 100 papers in there with glued on noodles and whatever it is that they have in one file folder for the year. So I try to pare down a lot so that I only have a few different things that's representative of what they did that year. And I put it in that file folder. If I have extra that I just cannot risk, I can't risk losing it and forgetting that beautiful artwork forever, I will take a picture of it. And then I have these really cool like keepsake books I will link in the show notes that are binders. They're really awesome. I am printing out pictures that like the teacher sent home or I took of my child with their projects or whatever. I print those photos out and I put them in that book. So if there's any other artwork that I didn't want to keep or it was too big or too weird shaped or whatever, I will take a picture of that and then I will print it out and put it in that keepsake book. I know people who just take pictures and do it that way. I like having some of the actual copies. I like looking back on that stuff of my own childhood. I think my kids will too. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. You're taking pictures of some. You are dealing with the artwork and keeping the ones that you want. And you're only really doing this brain power, big thing of what for sure am I going to keep forever once a year. So it's wonderful. You're just paring down between that time. You don't have to make a final decision until the summertime. I love this system. It's worked for years for us, and I know it can work for you too. Lastly, this is not really necessarily a hack, but it's something I feel has really made a difference in my life and my kids' lives, especially lately, that I think it's worth mentioning. Because in school, if your kids leave the house and go to school for like 7 hours a day, they give a lot of themselves to their teachers, to their friends, to their homework, to their schoolwork, to their sports, and they need time, space, and connection to refuel. If you are homeschooling your kids, they are spending a lot of times with you, with their siblings, and they may feel overshadowed by their siblings. They may feel lost in the shuffle. They may feel like they're not getting that special attention that they desire from you. So I think it's super important to build in bonding times with your kids. And I won't lie, I've done a really good job of this with my littler ones, but my oldest now that she's more independent and doesn't require as much work and doesn't lay down for a nap every day, like she's not getting as much of that attention. And I was for sure seeing it in her behavior. I didn't realize for sure that it was because of that, but I've started making this a priority with her. And honestly, it's like a totally different kid. So nice to her sisters. They're like best friends now, playing super nicely, rarely fight, where before it was fighting constantly. Just, it's totally different dynamic now. And all I have changed is making sure to give her 15 minutes of my day that's just for her every single day that I can. Fitting this in can be really hard. I know, especially when I was working 50 hours a week doing daycare and trying to run work-life glue on top of it, and my husband's schedule's crazy. It can be really hard. So if you don't get to it every day, that's okay. What I do with my little ones is, reading before nap, reading before bed. I will play with my 4-year-old in her bed. We'll play for a few minutes before nap and just cuddle. And that just seems to really fill her cup, and it may change over time. But when you have older kids who aren't napping anymore, maybe you're not even laying them down for bed anymore, there are many different ways, and you can get creative about how you fit this one-on-one time in. You could maybe, even if you don't lay them down for bed, maybe, 3 days a week you spend 15 minutes before bed with child A and 15 minutes with child B on the other days, or what have you, or you make a schedule. Maybe you have one child help with supper every night, and that's your time to like talk to each other, or maybe they sit at the counter and they work a puzzle, or you do like word games or something together, what have you. Maybe if you have a spouse, you can trade off. So maybe every night you take 15 minutes with kid A, then he takes 15 minutes with kid A. And then after that, they go make supper with the other kids and you spend 15 minutes with kid B. You make time to trade off with one another every night or every other night and just fit it in. And also build in those dates over time as well, like a date for a few hours with your first child, and then your spouse takes that child on a date the next time, or the next kid, or whatever. You work out a plan and you have special time. But I do think that's important, but I also think just the daily time or every other day or so is really, really important, that your kids feel special and feel loved by you no matter how they go to school. It can drain them, and nothing can replace your love for your kids. No teacher, no daycare provider, no screen, nothing can replace your individual, unique love for your kids. And it's so important. It's so special. It's something they can't get anywhere else that will fill them up, unlike love from anybody else. And I think it is totally worth putting in the time. Even if you're overwhelmed, it can really, I know from experience, it can really add less stress to your day. It can take away stress because your kid's cup is now full, so they can regulate better. They aren't as jealous. They aren't, envious of their siblings. They feel heard. They feel loved for who they are, and your bond, these few minutes every day is going to lead to a lifetime of bonding with your kids and a relationship that you can't build without spending time with them. So wanted to add that in here because I think it's really, really important. Those are all my back to school lazy mom hacks. I would love to be doing this series of lazy mom hacks every single month, one episode a month. So let me know. Head over to my Instagram at SarahWLG and let me know over there, what are some other topics you want me to cover with some different hacks that you can do in the different areas of your life. I would love to keep this series going. And let me know what other mom hacks you have. I would love to share that in my stories on Instagram with you guys. So head on over there and let me know. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm so excited to be back. If you have not already, I would love if you would head over to your Apple Podcast app and scroll down to the bottom of my Work Life Glue page and leave a rating and a review. Ratings are amazing, but the reviews are what really get people to subscribe. They tell people what my podcast is all about and why you like it. So just leave a sentence or two. I really love blank. I really love the episode about lazy mom hacks for back to school. Whatever it is, it can really help others find this podcast and lets me know that you are enjoying this. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will talk to you soon.